Okay, look at this. Check this out. Let's see. Let's go right here, right here. You know, and I'll start by saying this. Okay, there was a time when I did listen to rap music. There was a time when I would spend $100 a week on rap CDs. You follow me? And I remember during that time, Tupac was one of my favorite rappers, and when he had passed away, reports came out that he had so many songs recorded in his vault that had never been heard by the public, and I'm like, wow, how does that happen? He already had a lot of songs that we did hear. So I'm not doing this to reference Tupac. I'm just using it as a way to describe what's going on. So, in the midst of me building the Intel platform, which is what God told me to do, I have these things called voice recordings. And I went to my voice recorder just to check. And, as you can see right here, these are 195 recordings, okay? Recordings that the world has not heard, okay? And it's like, wow, now I can kind of see how that happened, because you get caught up in the mix of actually doing the work, and you get caught up in the mix of actually producing it and putting it out in the public's eye. But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't hear. And I'm looking at some of these voice notes, and I'm thinking that God is telling me now to start to put some of these into production, so to speak, because these are very, very powerful notes. I mean, this thing goes back to 2023, okay, 2024. And I started listening to some of my own voice notes, and I'm like, wow, like I think maybe 4 or 5 of these I did put into production, but the rest of them, the world has not heard. Let me give you a little bit of snapshot. Okay, let's look at learn to discern. All right, let's talk about gifts, talents, and abilities given by God. I'm appalled at the church because here we are believing God for rank impossible, studying his word and all the miracles that are documented therein. But yet we're not attuned to the gifts. We're not attuned to the talents. We're not attuned to the abilities, especially if he haven't given them to us, right? We get offended. The other day I was at a spot where I would go and park and pray, and I'm sitting there, I'm right out of prayer. And God took me in a vision, and in the vision, he showed me a man riding a bike on the bike trail that was right there in front of me. And when I came out of that vision, it was a woman riding a bike, and then I would say probably about 3 seconds later, the man that God had showed me in the vision came by riding that bike. You see what I'm saying? And that happened. And I say this under open heavens. That happened just like I described it here. It was the very reason why I actually recorded this voice note. I was in Dallas, Texas. Okay. Let's check out a couple of others. Let's see. No more misunderstandings. Let's talk about that. Let's play that one. All right, so I got to address this so people don't get confused. And I have to do this because Satan, he seeks to confuse the minds of the masses when he wants to stop and block someone. Let me tell you something. Every morning I start my day outside in nature, okay? Now, I don't do this as some type of Buddhist practice or some type of Buddhist principle. It's where my prayer life started. I would go outside every morning and pace up and down the gravel road, or I would go off into the wilderness and, just bask in the ambience of the presence of God. All right? And this was before I really realized what was going on with me. So I'm what's called electrosensitive, meaning I'm sensitive to electronics. So with the technological boom and the electronic boom that's happening here, as the advent of these technologies increase, we're being inundated with more and more electronic frequencies. My last apartment that I had, I would have to shut off the breakers because of the energy that was emanating from the electric wiring in the wall. It would hinder me. It would keep me from sleeping. And it took me almost a decade to figure out what this was. So when I go outside in the morning, and a lot of times I'll go and run my wind sprints, I'll run them barefoot. And I do that because it grounds me. Okay? Most of the time I'm being electrified. And God had to do some things with me to get me to realize what was going on in my life. It got to such an extent to where the electricity that's emanating from the walls in your house, it's electrifying the springs in your mattress, and it's electrifying you while you lay there and sleep at night. So I had to, learn this about myself. I didn't know what was going on for a long time until I started doing research. So I don't want people to get it misconstrued when they see me running my wind sprints barefoot, or they see me start my day every day outside, talking with the Lord, because I know how Satan is working in these last days. He wants to make that which is real seem fake, and he wants to make that which is fake seem real. He wants to make that which is right seem wrong, and he wants to make that which is wrong seem right. So I'm finding myself having to address things that I really shouldn't have to address. But, at the end of the day, these electronics, ladies and gentlemen, this is a problem. Mind control is not some figment of our imagination. It's not something that you will be immune from, okay? Just because you're Christian. That's like saying, oh, I'm Christian, I could not receive a bullet wound. Yes, you can. God can protect you. I'm just saying. So let's not get it construed. And you see, these things are good, man. I'm listening to this, and this was a couple of years ago when I recorded this, man. Let's look at deterrent attack frequencies, and I'm going to put a lot of these into production starting today. Let's talk about frequencies, so we don't have a misunderstanding. And this is one that could go long, but I'm just going to briefly allude to it to give those who may be in a state of misunderstanding. Frequencies. These frequencies, okay? Your cell phone is connected to a cell tower. That's the frequency. Okay? So what's happening to humanity at this time is we're under attack. They are attempting to change our DNA via invisible, soundless frequencies. And I've been under frequency attack before, and God has showed me how to deal with it. So it's not something esoteric, or it's not something, these frequencies, right? God has given me a thorough understanding of them. And let's just say they're bombarding you with a frequency that would induce tinnitus. Well, then what you have to do is either move out of that range of that incoming attack frequency, or you have to broadcast a frequency that would deter the effects of that frequency. So sometimes when I'm under deep attack, because this is an electromagnetic frequency attack, they have tried to, especially if they know that you have gifts, talents, and abilities, they try to destroy your DNA. They try to stop you and block you. They try to give you like mental disorders and everything, right? So a lot of times I'll broadcast a frequency just to deter that incoming attack frequency. And lately here, the past week or so, they've been being